And from there, it was really just about trying to pile on as much insanity as possible.
Taking this woman back to where we...
No, you're not.
Jesus!
So I think the main reason I wanted to go and make Dashcam was just to get out of the house. You know, we'd just come out of lockdown where we'd made this movie Host, which we shot over Zoom. We shot it all virtually, so we weren't able to be face to face through any of that process. And we'd signed this deal with Blumhouse to make some movies for them, which meant we had a little bit more money, and with more money comes a little more freedom to do some to work on a bigger canvas. And from there, it was really just about trying to pile on as much insanity as possible.
Welcome back to Bangkok, the internet's #1 live improvised music show podcast from a moving vehicle, where tonight we have so much excitement.
But really, I wanted this movie to feel like there was a kind of spate of these kind of intense, blackly comedic horror sequels that came out around the 80s to much more kind of classy, serious first movies. You know, I'm thinking about like Evil Dead 2, Hellraiser 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Kind of every way that Host was classy and tasteful, this movie wanted to be loud and obnoxious and distasteful.
Hey, bro!
Get the fuck out of the car right now!
Shut up!
Fuck! You're such a fucking nightmare.
I think the most challenging aspect of making Dashcam, this movie didn't have the multi-cam setup that Host did. This was designed as like a single camera experience. A lot of stuff was happening in point of view without cuts or passage of time, which meant that a lot of the action needed to be shot in these big, long, single takes. So it meant that a lot of the movie was tricked out to have these hidden cut points that people wouldn't notice. It was really like a jigsaw puzzle. We had to feel very confident that we had the right momentum for every scene, and that our cut points were going to work for us in the edit.
Who is this woman? Seriously? What's
You're
her name?
obviously gonna
Shut the
kill
fuck
her.
up, Annie.
That's why we have to rescue her.
Who is gonna kill her?
I don't know who it is.
What are you talking about?
Antifa, it's an evil cabal. It's a
fucking cabal.
This
What are
movie
you
wouldn't exist without Annie. It's her show that really inspired us at first. She really does this show, Band Car, where she drives around LA when she's doing chores or whatever, and she gets her viewers to comment random words on her live stream, and she turns them into a freestyle rap. It was really her brain that we were relying on throughout this whole movie, because we improvised most of it. So much of the movie's personality is derived from her and what we came up with together on the day. A lot of those were written by me just sitting there, kind of taking on these different personalities and writing comments as I was watching the film live. They were really inspired by a lot of the stuff that I was reading as I did these deep dives into conspiracy videos and into Annie's own Band Car videos. Every comment had to be paced out to what was happening on screen. If somebody was watching the comments throughout the movie, they needed to make sense. Characters needed to emerge. There needed to be a consistency. Part of that came down to Douglas Cox, our amazing producer, who was really fixated on this idea of every single avatar having a consistent character motivation, and for there to be stories unfolding within the comments. And he created this master spreadsheet that was all color coded, and we kind of mapped out these little character arcs for all of the characters. There's this movie Lake Mungo, which is a found footage horror movie from Australia from mid-2000s. And it's this terrifying, creepy ghost story. It's really the true horror of that movie is about loneliness and the fact that every single one of us faces death alone. That's the true horror, is that we all go through life alone, as much as we like to preach togetherness. It's this really depressing, nihilistic found footage movie that I think is like the greatest movie ever made about loneliness and the inevitability of death. So it feels like an appropriate one to take to my grave. I kind of like watching train wreck movies that are awful in unique ways. So that I'd never say never, but yeah, probably some plasticky franchise movie. I kind of don't believe in guilty pleasures either, because I think if you're deriving pleasure from a film, it's doing something right. But probably like something like New York Ripper. Although I think Lucio Fulci, I think, is actually a genius, but that movie's kind of grimy in in a pretty bad, guilty way. Satan Tango, the Bella Tarr movie that's like 7 hours long. Every time I get drunk and want to seem like really intellectual, I pretend to have seen that because I feel like I get the gist of it. I've seen the trailer.